Episode 161, The Shoot. Leonard's expression changed a few times when he met Raquel and Zach at the door. Raquel saw that it was not good for her to show up with Zach and said defiantly, "I did it all. The matter of leaving the family has nothing to do with Zach. Don't make trouble for him." Leonard was so angry that his blood pressure almost made him faint. He trembled, pointing at Raquel, and growled, "You ungrateful girl! Who raised you to be like this? Your mother left, and I brought you and your brother up. I am worried about your marriage. I wanted you to marry a good man and live a happy life. In the end, you broke off relations with a good, stable man for this person. You are heartless." "Dad, you sure know how to misinterpret things. You gave me to a stranger and tried to force me to marry that man regardless of my wishes. As long as I got pregnant with the next generation, you told that man he could do anything he wished with me. That's the so-called love my father gave me. I would rather not have it. Being treated like this made me realize I would be better off dead. Since I am not afraid of dying, there is nothing to be afraid of in breaking off my relationship with my father. I only came here to take a few personal belongings. Don't worry, I will not take a single cent of the Cage family's money." Raquel clenched her fists and replied. She was not very powerful, nor could she easily do things like fighting with her father. It hurt her to sever her relationship with him. But even so, she did not regret it. Her father still tried to make it look like he was doing it for her when he was doing it for himself. Raquel was precise about what kind of happiness she wanted. "Good," her father said. "Now that you're not afraid of me anymore, please go. If you leave, don't come back. I'll pretend that I've never fathered a daughter. If I knew it would be like this today, I wouldn't have saved you when you were 16. I'd have let you." "Enough," Zach said. He had been quiet for a long time, but he suddenly interrupted Leonard indignantly. Zach had been respectful in front of Leonard because he was Raquel's father, but he could not take it anymore. He could not bear this person exposing Raquel's most painful scar in front of Norman. That year's incident almost destroyed her. As a father, he should not bring it up, no matter how angry he was. Zach held Raquel's hand tightly, looked at Leonard coldly, and said, "No matter how angry you are, please don't mention the past. A father worthy of being called a father would not expose his daughter's scars. Raquel's decision seems final, so we will pack up and leave." The slim hand in his hand was so cold that Zach had to hold it tight not to frighten her. Raquel was pulled away by Zach, but Leonard's voice continued to scold angrily. "Wild dog! Harvey's lackey! Who do you think you are? Who permitted you to speak here? All of you, get lost!" Zach kept silent and pulled Raquel forcefully. He swore that he would not let Raquel return to this family if Leonard did not change. Leonard was furious. He looked over at Norman. In his heart, his son was more important than his daughter, so Leonard quickly told Norman, "Norman, you will be your father's only child in the future. Dad, why did you mention that to my sister?" Norman looked at him and said slowly, "Even if Raquel said she would break off our relationship, we are still family, with blood thicker than water. How could you hurt my sister? You used her most painful experience to injure her further." Norman had a cold expression on his face. This was the first time Leonard had seen such a strange expression on his son's face. For a moment, Leonard was at a loss for what to do. His son was 18, and the simple truth of having a child tell him that blood is thicker than water pierced his heart. Leonard was speechless. The commercial for the Autumn Styles was filmed in the Cage Group studio. Evelyn felt that she would finish filming soon. After all, she had already filmed an advertisement once. Although there were some twists and turns last time, it had ended quickly. This time it should be much smoother. That was what she thought. The sad truth was that the reality was more complicated than the ideal. "Something's not right. When you raise your hand, it seems like you're trying to grab something. Eyes, watch your eyes. No, let's start again." Half an hour had passed, and there was not a single shot to their liking. Evelyn really could not take it anymore. She felt she was not here to shoot an advertisement, but to suffer. She regretted agreeing to Harvey impulsively. Impulse is indeed a devil. On the side, Alex's face did not look much better. Evelyn had been a model before. The advertisement last time was so good. How could she not even shoot one perfect shot in half an hour? Ugh, this was too much. Alex stood up and walked to Evelyn with purposeful strides. He looked down at Evelyn in the water. Half an hour. Why was the last commercial so much better? Is there a difference between these two times? Evelyn took a deep breath and seriously thought about it. There was water last time, but the water by the sea was different from this. However, there was only one reason for it. There was no Harvey. No Harvey was there mocking her, provoking her, or staring at her with his cold eyes. No, it wasn't like that. It had nothing to do with Harvey, she tried to tell herself. Evelyn quickly shook her head. She took a deep breath and said, I will try my best to find the feeling. I'm having trouble grasping the main point. She didn't even know what expression to make. Another half hour passed. Alex could not take it anymore. The director, the photographer, and the second photographer were getting angry. If it were not for the advertisement she had made last time, they would have given up already. Standing up, Alex took a deep breath and said, I can't take it anymore. Evelyn was embarrassed. She blamed herself and said, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm suitable for this campaign. Why don't you find another model? Alex glanced at her and said firmly, No, you are the most suitable one. But it seems like I need support. Support? What support? Evelyn did not understand and tilted her head. She was now used to tossing and turning in the water. Unfortunately, she felt like she would be soaked and shriveled tomorrow. She did need backup, but she needed someone to massage her skin. Alex couldn't be bothered with her anymore. Evelyn, who didn't understand anything, felt that his notes had been wasted on her. She wondered if she could design something worthwhile with her crazy mind playing tricks on her. Alex turned around and walked out. He immediately went to the CEO's office. Harvey had nothing to do during the weekend. He was in the office as he was simply trying to stay away from his grandmother. Harvey was very curious when he saw Alex come inside. He looked up at him and tried to figure out what was on his mind. Sir, I need your help, Alex said. Harvey raised his eyebrows. Oh? Tell me about it. Evelyn is doing an advertisement in Studio 3, but she hasn't made any progress in an hour. Sir, please come and see if you can think of something. If this goes on, the autumn commercial for Clock will be a total bust, Alex said. During the previous shoot, Harvey had Evelyn give the perfect expression. This time, because of all the family drama, he was in a gloomy mood. Would he agree to help again? And if yes, would his help be as effective as last time? Episode 162, Harvey's Help. Harvey's mood was cloudy, but when he heard Evelyn was here, his mood instantly turned happier. Since you asked, as the CEO of the Cage Group, how can I refuse? I guess I'll come and take a look. Harvey raised his eyebrows and smiled. Alex sighed deeply. He had tried to hide things from Harvey because he could tell Harvey had some intentions of his own toward Evelyn. He did not want his commercial shoot to end badly. Harvey was the boss, so Alex couldn't chastise him. It turned out Harvey was the key to taking Evelyn's picture. This stupid woman only had love on her mind. When she saw Harvey, her eyes and attitude would completely change. She would only release that sweet and alluring vibe only when she saw Harvey. To him, when Evelyn looked at Harvey, she was the most beautiful woman ever. As for the rest of the time, she was not even a noticeable distraction. Alex didn't have to wait long before Harvey arrived. Evelyn was still sitting on a chair wrapped in towels, and many people were using a dryer to dry her clothes. Evelyn was also racking her brains, figuring out how to change her expression. You work hard, Evelyn. Harvey suddenly appeared in front of Evelyn and raised his eyebrows. When the people in the studio saw him, they immediately gave way and said, Hello, Mr. Cage. You guys continue. Harvey waved his hand and stared at Evelyn. I heard you have worked hard for an hour. Evelyn stared at him with her teary eyes and pursed her lips. What are you doing here? You know that I have to work very hard, so don't disturb me. The surrounding workers were shocked when they heard Evelyn talking to the CEO like that. How dare this woman talk to him so boldly? What was the relationship between the two of them? Harvey smiled. He did not look angry.
If you can't get anything out of an hour's hard work, it's just a waste of time. To improve your efficiency so that everyone will not suffer with you, I am here to help you find inspiration."
Evelyn puckered her lips. After being spoken to that way, she could not help but retort, "It's not like there are no results. I think I know what I must do, and I don't need your help. Please don't show off, okay?" Before Harvey could respond, Alex spoke up.
"I'm the one who asked Harvey down here. If you continue like this, you won't be able to get anything by tomorrow."
Evelyn gritted her teeth and glared at Alex. Oh, this guy was infuriating. Why did he expose her like this? Harvey found her angry look funny. He knew what kind of advertisement Alex wanted to shoot before he walked in. Evelyn's most significant selling point was that she was shy and pure. Her eyes could fill with all kinds of emotions. Once she revealed a shy expression, the sweet fragrance of honey filled the air. Clock clothing sold purity and ethereal styles, so Evelyn was the most suitable model. Harvey rolled his eyes and came up with a good idea.
"Is her dress ready?"
Harvey looked down and asked. The staff person folding her skirt replied, "It'll be ready soon."
"Yes, very good."
Harvey curled his lips meaningfully and said to Evelyn,
"I have decided to be merciful and help you complete the commercial shoot. Evelyn, you have to thank me."
Evelyn vigilantly looked up at the smile on his lips. Oh, the situation was not quite right. Harvey had seen his grandmother today, and Evelyn knew they had fought. If he could still be in a good mood like this, it must be Harvey who had done something terrible. "I don't think the situation is good. What do you want to do?" Evelyn looked at Harvey warily. Harvey narrowed his eyes and deliberately approached her in front of many people. He said in a charming voice,
"Of course, I want to rile you up."
The surrounding staff members were all women. At this moment, their faces were all red. Evelyn's face also turned red. She looked around and saw that those women were all shaking their heads. Evelyn had to admit that Harvey was a demon. He was very popular and very handsome, but at the same time he was very cold. She rolled her eyes and curled her lips. Evelyn threw the word out, pervert. No matter how handsome he was still a pervert. Harvey didn't think much of it. Evelyn was stubborn. He wasn't angry because he felt that what was about to happen next would be exciting. After Evelyn finished tidying up her dress, the staff member reported to Harvey. Harvey coughed and slightly raised his voice.
"Everyone, turn your back to the model and close your eyes for a moment. I have something to say to the model in private."
Everyone present was stunned, but then everyone followed the order and moved. The order was Harvey's, and they all must listen to it. Evelyn saw that everyone had turned around. Harvey even told everyone close to her to move 15 paces away. Evelyn did not know why, but she felt that the sky above her was thick with dark clouds. The situation was not good. It turned out that Evelyn's thought was correct. After 5 minutes, Evelyn started filming again. Evelyn fully displayed the shyness that Alex wanted. Alex was delighted, and Harvey, the most significant contributor, just watched everything with a faint smile on his face. No one would know that in the 5 minutes that Evelyn and Harvey had spent together, a small secret that only belonged to the two of them had happened. The damned Harvey had taken away her underwear. So Evelyn was not shy as they shot. She was ashamed. Pervert! Calling him a pervert wasn't wrong at all. As soon as the shooting ended, Evelyn hurriedly wrapped her things and wanted to ask Harvey for her underwear. She was so embarrassed that she could not look at anyone. However, Harvey had already left. Evelyn didn't care about anything else and chased after him. Evelyn ran to the corner and saw a row of rooms. Harvey had already disappeared. Evelyn had no choice but to push those doors one by one. Most of the doors were closed, but one room was open. "Harvey, I think you were still—" Evelyn couldn't even finish her sentence before someone pulled her inside. Evelyn stared at the man who had pressed her against the wall. "You son of a bitch! How shameless!" Evelyn scolded Harvey with her pretty face blushing. Harvey raised his eyebrows.
"You don't understand the style. It's more interesting this way."
Evelyn stretched out her leg to kick him. "What are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about." Harvey avoided her leg and said,
"Of course, it's always fun. It's the same now between us."
After saying that, Harvey looked at the side meaningfully. Evelyn followed this line of sight and suddenly saw the glass bathroom and a sofa. Episode 163, The Glass Bathroom. A man and a woman. a glass bathroom, and a sofa. A naughty picture formed in Evelyn's mind.
What did you think of when you saw this scene?
Harvey forced himself closer to her and asked jokingly. Evelyn stammered. I didn't think about anything. You get out. The shooting for today is ended. I want to take a shower and go home. As the dignified CEO of the Cage Group, you don't want to peep at someone else taking a shower, do you?
What do you mean, peeping? The sofa is here. I can sit on the sofa and watch. Who said I would peep?
Harvey raised his eyebrows. Evelyn wanted to cry. That was the scene that had popped into her mind. Harvey would sit on the sofa and watch while she showered. As soon as she thought about it, she wished she could punch the wall. Evelyn was so outraged that she wanted to scold Harvey. But at that moment, the voices of staff members came from outside the door. I thought I would have to work overtime tonight. Luckily, we got it done, though. Hey, what are you doing now? Do you want to have a drink? I have wine at home. Let's go together. Evelyn bit her lips and did not dare to make a sound. Harvey leaned close to her ear and said,
I forgot to tell you. The left side is full of bathrooms and a lounge, but the right side is full of prop rooms. People will come and go one after another. You have to keep your voice down. If your voice is too loud, you will be in trouble.
After Harvey finished speaking, he let go of her. She was extremely embarrassed. She really couldn't take a shower, and she definitely didn't want to take one in front of Harvey.
Why don't you just get dressed and hang on until we get home?
Pervert. Return the underwear to me. I'm going home, Evelyn said, reaching out her hand to Harvey. Harvey raised an eyebrow and placed something in her hand. Evelyn looked down at her palm. I want my underwear. Evelyn was angry, but she did not dare to speak loudly. Harvey looked at her calmly and started to unbutton his shirt.
You have to take a shower. If you don't want to take a shower, it will be hard for you to go home. Hurry up and take off your clothes.
Evelyn really could not take it anymore. She gnashed her teeth and asked, I'm the one who should take off clothes. Why are you undressing? Harvey said calmly,
because I don't want to get my clothes wet. After all, if you don't want me to watch you take a shower, I will have to take it with you.
You shameless bastard!
Shh, lower your voice. This is not the CEO's office. The soundproofing is not good. It will be troublesome if someone hears you.
Harvey lifted her chin and rubbed her lips.
Even if you feel comfortable later, you have to keep quiet. Otherwise, it will cause a commotion.
Harvey pulled off her skirt, ignoring Evelyn's struggle. After a while, there was the sound of water and some soft noises. The staff outside were all busy. Someone asked Alex curiously, Alex, has Miss Evelyn gone home? I still want to show her the sample.
I don't know where she went. She probably left,
Alex said, packing his things. He knew where they had gone. He saw Evelyn chasing after Harvey. It had been so long and she still hadn't come out. He wondered what she had gone to do. He wouldn't say anything to others, but he figured out what they were up to. After thinking for a while, Alex said to the worker, We still need to leave the scene here tonight. Don't lock your door. Pack your things and leave.
Okay,
the man said. Alex thought to himself that for tomorrow's shooting to be smooth, I don't want anything to happen today to hinder you guys. Don't be too reckless. A few hours later, it was silent. The photography studio was empty. There was no one outside except Evelyn and Harvey in one of the rooms. Evelyn finally got her underwear back and put on her original clothes. She collapsed onto the sofa. Harvey put on his clothes and opened the door, feeling refreshed.
Yes, almost everyone has left. You can leave, as I didn't expect it to be this late. I have also finished work.
Evelyn rolled her eyes and scolded, Deviant maniac. Harvey raised his eyebrows and said,
How can you only blame me? You left countless scratches and bite marks on my body when we did it. Are you a cat or a dog? You love scratching and biting people so much.
Evelyn was so angry that she almost spat blood. This man had the nerve to say that she grabbed him and bit him. She had to hold her sounds in because he wanted to force her to make a sound when someone passed by. She had to hold back her voice, so she had to bite him. After all, he was a pervert. However, she was too exhausted to explain. She later realized that biting him and grabbing him was an excellent way to vent her anger. She tilted her head and looked at Harvey. Evelyn deliberately bared her shining white teeth menacingly. Harvey looked at her and did not feel threatened. Instead, he felt like a kitten was hissing at him. He walked in front of Evelyn and patted her head.
Tisk, tisk, what a cute kitten. Tell me, do you want me to hug you?
Evelyn frowned and pouted. Don't touch my hair, I just combed it. Also, I want to go home. Harvey shook his head, his eyes sparkling.
What an uninteresting answer. Are you going to run off and leave me after such a lovely time together?
Evelyn did not have the strength to complain about his misinterpreted meaning. She nodded seriously and said, That's right. I am such a heartless and cold woman, so I am going home now.
Don't you want to take a look? The Cage Group is a fashion kingdom.
Harvey chuckled and suddenly said. Evelyn was startled and looked at him with eyes full of confusion. Harvey smiled and raised his sexy lips seductively.
It's time to get off work. There's only you and me here. We are the best in the fashion industry. Don't you want to see what the Cage Group is doing? The fashion kingdom is now right in front of you.
Evelyn's heart began to tremble and her breathing became excited. Cage was the company of her dreams, where she had fallen in love with fashion design. One day, she would make it here on her own, become a top fashion designer, attend Paris Fashion Week, and run a fashion show in Paris. This was the land of dreams. I want to see. Evelyn's eyes shone. Harvey raised his eyebrows and said,
Since you said that, as the CEO of the Cage Group, I'll bring you around personally.
Evelyn was so excited that she stood up from the sofa, but her legs went soft and she sat back on the couch. After being ravaged by this beast, she was weak and could not stand up. Her waist was sore and her legs were weak. Harvey looked at her and smiled. Evelyn was so angry that her face twitched. It's your fault, you bastard. Harvey said,
Give me 2 minutes and I'll carry you back there.
Harvey went out and made a phone call. It went straight to the control room.
This is Harvey. For the next 2 hours, turn off all the surveillance cameras. Everyone needs to stand guard at the door and not let anyone in. Tell all company employees that they will be allowed back in 2 hours. Do you understand?
Episode 164, The World That Harvey Saw. After they had spoken, Harvey hung up the phone. The employees in the control room did not know or care what Harvey was up to. They only knew that the first rule of survival in Cage Group was that CEO Cage's orders must be carried out absolutely. Do not ask for a reason, just carry them out. Harvey hung up the phone and came back to pick Evelyn up. Evelyn leaned into him and said with some embarrassment, Is it okay to carry me? I'm pretty big. Harvey carried her as he walked out. He raised his eyebrows and said,
You are a bit heavy, but fortunately I am stronger than everyone.
Evelyn rolled her eyes. She was worried about him for nothing. Harvey carried Evelyn and started the tour from the first floor. When Harvey led her to a particular floor, Evelyn went crazy because he said,
There are exhibition halls on the next few floors. Over there, the samples of the most exquisite clothes the company makes are placed here. The classic models are placed in the glass window.
Evelyn's eyes lit up. This was the holy grail of clothing. Harvey, let's go there. I recognize this. This is 2018 Fashion Week's showcase outfit. I like this color matching to the coordinated pieces and how it worked with the model. Oh, I like this one. It's a gold shimmery cascade. Harvey carried Evelyn as they walked through a few floors. Evelyn was tossing and turning in his arms. However, when Harvey carried her past a window that reflected Evelyn's happy face there, Harvey was slightly startled. Such a clear and moving smile. Seeing her smile, it felt like there was nothing to be angry about in life. He had the urge to keep her smiling.
Evelyn, are you happy?
Harvey asked. Evelyn hugged his neck and was so happy that she was about to fly to the sky. She smiled and said, I'm so happy. It's like a dream.
Then be happier. Come, let's continue. The higher we go, the more treasures there are. The next one is some early samples that show the craftsmanship you would never see in a modern-day outfit. There is also the fabric that you have only heard of in rumors. Today, I will let you experience it.
Really? I want to see. Harvey, let's go. Harvey smiled and ran up the stairs. At this moment, the two of them were laughing like two children. In the mighty Cage Group headquarters in New York City, they treated this place as a playground. The two of them talked a lot. After Evelyn recovered some strength, she got Harvey to put her down. Harvey held her hand, and the two ran through the rooms one by one. They were dazzled by each new sight. Finally, Harvey took Evelyn's hand and pulled her back to his office. Evelyn was panting as she looked at his office. It was already dark, and neon lights were flashing outside. The windows of the CEO's office were open and dark. Evelyn inhaled slowly before asking, "Harvey, why did you bring me here? Could it be that there are treasures hidden here?"
"I want to show you the scenery I see every day. There is no treasure here, but this is my treasure,"
Harvey said. Evelyn blinked her eyes and looked at Harvey. Harvey turned around, walked to the large floor-to-ceiling window, and pulled up the blinds open all the way. In the vast window, the neon lights reflected in the glass. Evelyn walked forward step by step, as if she was in a trance. She had been here several times, but not once had she stood at the window and looked out. Her heart was beating rapidly as she walked to the window. What did Harvey see every day? Outside the window, the whole city was laid out in front of her eyes. The lights of the city winked. In the darkness, the lights and shadows were reflected in her eyes. An indescribable shock ran through her as she realized that the city lay below Harvey's feet, as if ready to be trampled by him. The imagery was surreal. She finally understood. Why was Harvey always high and mighty? How could he allow himself not to be high and mighty when he looked at this kind of scenery every day? Evelyn looked down at the city below her for the first time and had an indescribable feeling. This was the world that Harvey saw. This vastness, this magnificence.
"I like the Cage Group."
Harvey stood next to her and looked down at her.
"Ever since I stepped into the CEO's office, I told myself that I can't lose this position no matter what. I can't lose this view."
Evelyn tilted her head and looked at him. At that moment, she understood the coldness on that perfectly sculpted face. A proud son who had the persistence and determination to take what he wanted. This place was not a paradise for this man. It had always been a battlefield. Her heart was beating faster, and Evelyn suddenly had a strange impulse. "I think you are the best match for CEO of the Cage Group, Harvey. I can't imagine what other people would look like in this role," Evelyn smiled and said. "They can't do this without you." She liked this man who was high and mighty and hid all his worries in his heart, quietly fighting his battles. She couldn't climb to the same height as he did, so she couldn't look down at the land every day like he did. But she wanted to occasionally look at the scenery together on such a quiet night. Your world, the scenery in your eyes, everything you think, I want to touch it. I want to be that special one who knows everything about you. Harvey, don't let anyone see this scenery. Just let me accompany you."
"I like it,"
Harvey suddenly said. Evelyn's pupils contracted and her body stiffened. Like what? In a daze, Evelyn turned her head to look at him. Her breathing was rapid. Lights flickered, dark shadows shuttled, and his appearance was so charming under the moonlight. Like, what do you mean? He tilted his head and said,
"I like the scenery that I see tonight. It's probably because it's my first time standing here with someone else. Sharing the scenery like this is different from the past. I always feel that this city piled up with money is somewhat romantic."
The corner of Harvey's lips curled into a smile, that charming smile that shone brighter than the moon, and those eyes that twinkled more brilliantly than the stars looked at her and moved closer to her. Her heart was in her throat, and she felt something vibrating in her chest. "I like you so much. Harvey, I like you." The words about to rush out of her mouth were sealed on her lips. A hot, burning kiss. A lingering tongue invaded her mouth as Evelyn slowly closed her eyes and allowed him to kiss her. She kissed him passionately in return. Otherwise, she would not have been able to hide her thoughts and would have told him. She thought she must not express her feelings. She had known that from the beginning, so she had never said it. But tonight she had been bewitched by Harvey. Harvey, who had revealed his secret side to her, made it almost impossible for her to hide her feelings. If my lips hadn't been sealed shut, I'd have told you I love you, Harvey. It's a good thing I didn't say it in the end, or we wouldn't know how bad our relationship would be. It was good now, without purpose, without a future. It is like a desperate love, never knowing the end before it is really over, never knowing when it would end. With the entire New York City as backdrop, Harvey kissed Evelyn. But he did not go any further. He had the urge to do it with her again, but he hugged her and kissed her, not wanting to ruin the moment. Harvey felt a little strange. He had never been able to control his desire. He would even attack Evelyn under the influence of his passion. But this time, he suppressed this urge, wanting to cherish this kiss. Harvey did not want to have sex. He just wanted to kiss her. How was he able to restrain his desire to have sex with her so easily? Why the only thing that he wanted was to just kiss her gently? A strange feeling swelled in his chest. It was a little sweet and a little painful. What was this feeling? Episode 165, Harvey's Request. Harvey didn't know that his frozen heart was starting to melt. Evelyn was unique. She was the only woman with whom Harvey was willing to share the scenery he adored the most. In this vast world, you are the only one with whom I want to be with at this moment. Elsewhere, Leonard drank 3 bottles of brandy and a bottle of whiskey at home, but it didn't help him. After Raquel left, his mother declared she would treat it as if the Cage family had never had such a willful girl. Next, they would officially declare that they had kicked Raquel out of the family. Norman also used the day's events as an excuse to go out. He had lost everything today, and there was no one to comfort him. Leonard sat on the sofa and thought for a long time. He couldn't find any trouble with Raquel. After all, she was his daughter, but his mother wouldn't allow him to have any more contact with Raquel. What about Zach? Ugh, that damn brat, Zach. If Harvey hadn't been there to support him, he would not still be alive. No matter how much he thought about it, it was all Harvey's fault. However, Harvey was the CEO of the Cage Group, and he couldn't move against him in any way.
Harvey, how could you do this? I am your uncle. I will never forgive you. I can't let it go so easily.
Leonard gritted his teeth and threw the bottle. Harvey cared about that model. He could not afford to offend Harvey, but he could still deal with that little model. Leonard made up his mind. Since Harvey cared about that woman, he would be able to exchange her for a lot of money. He was not short of money, but he had no other way to punish Harvey. Let him lose both money and people. He would take the money and settle overseas. Little girl, if you want to blame someone, blame Harvey. It's his fault. It's his fault for separating me from my family. I want to make him pay the price. The drama because Raquel left the family had been going on for a few days, but the matter had nothing to do with Evelyn. Although Dolores had threatened her that day, Evelyn did not tell Harvey. To be exact, she did not take this matter to heart. After the commercial shooting ended, Evelyn felt relieved and wanted to shift her focus to the design work ahead of her. But before that, Mark's matter needed to be resolved. It had been a few days and Mark would not pick up his phone. Evelyn finally realized that something was wrong when Mark rushed out that day. Because she couldn't talk to Mark directly, Evelyn had no choice but to call Luke and ask him to come out to meet with her. Meeting Evelyn would be tough for Luke, as it could lead to him betraying Mark. The meetings with Mark were a scam. When Evelyn wasn't around, Mark wouldn't even see him. Luke could not refuse Evelyn's request, so he called Mark. Mark took a long time to answer, and there was a note of impatience in his warning. "Why are you calling me?" "Evelyn called me and asked me to call you for a meeting with me to talk. She wants to see you. What happened between you and her?" Luke did not care about Mark's bad attitude. After all, he had always been like this, so he got straight to the point. It shouldn't be like this. Mark had a deep obsession with Evelyn. He would never ignore her. "What happened between her and me has nothing to do with you. You don't have to worry about it," Mark said in a gloomy voice. "I won't come to meet you." He couldn't see her yet. He had no idea how to face Evelyn, because every time he closed his eyes, the past would surge over him like a tidal wave. "Really? Then don't come. I will comfort Evelyn and lie for you. Soon she is going to participate in a design competition. As the mayor who oversees this competition, I will have more and more opportunities to get in touch with her. It's such a good opportunity. You won't be able to control me if I go after her." "How dare you?" Mark's voice was filled with anger. "Don't provoke me. Then come and see her. I have no reason to back down for a little brat like you. Please don't make me treat you like an unruly child.
You should not avoid her and make her worry. Is this what a man would do? Tomorrow at 3 p.m. at the Grassy Coffee Shop on Century Road. Don't be late." Luke hung up the phone after he finished speaking. He was usually gentle, but that didn't mean he didn't have a tough side to him. Mark was the most qualified to stay by Evelyn's side. That was why Luke helped him hide everything. However, he was the one who made Evelyn worry about him. Just as he was about to put down his phone, it rang again. Luke thought it was a return call from Mark. He looked at the screen and saw a familiar name. "Hello, Harvey," Luke said. "Are you calling me about the bidding?" "No, it's about the judge's role we talked about a while ago. I'm interested and would like to be a judge during the competition. I wonder what you think." "Of course, you are welcome to participate. The CEO of the Cage Group being a judge will be a great addition to the competition, and I'm sure it will be well received. I also want to contribute to this project to support new designers in New York City. If they win the championship, let me offer some additional rewards. Those who win the championship can enter the Cage Group and become a designer for the company. The company will create a brand for this champion and let him be the chief designer. Also, they will be my personal fashion consultant." Harvey sounded very happy. Luke frowned and asked, "You don't want to be the organizer, but you're offering such a generous reward? Why?" Harvey asked, "Can't I offer a generous reward?" "Of course. Mr. Cage, your support will definitely make this competition even more exciting. I just don't understand your purpose. It's unusual to have someone at your level interested in being a judge. If you insist on knowing, I want a champion who would work hard for me. I'll contact you for the follow-up arrangements. You can call my assistant when you schedule the competition and tell him about what I should attend." After the phone call immediately disconnected, Luke held his phone with a mystery swirling in his mind. He couldn't understand. He couldn't begin to guess what Harvey was up to. A champion who would work hard for him? What did that mean? "What a strange man," Luke mumbled. Luke didn't know about the relationship between Evelyn and Harvey. Of course he did not know what Harvey was thinking, and he couldn't make the connection. So he continued to think over the strange offer for a while. Harvey was trying to get into the panel of judges to make things easy for Evelyn. Will the stubborn and self-respecting Evelyn accept this token of unsolicited generosity? She had worked hard for this competition and wanted to win it without the backing of anyone. Will Harvey's attempt to extend a helping hand backfire? Episode 166, A Kidnapping Attempt. Mark thought for a long time after Luke hung up the phone. The world had been peaceful, but Mark always felt like a storm was coming, and the pressure in his chest was unbearable. Mark unconsciously touched the wound on his waist and closed his eyes. He had hidden too many things in the past, and now his hands were covered in blood. There were very few things that he could tell Evelyn. He'd refused to answer her phone calls for the past few days. She must be worried sick. He really wanted to see her, but what would he say to her? Could he wear his fake persona like before? Mark walked around for a long time. From dawn to dusk, all he could think about was Evelyn. Even if he didn't say anything, he still wanted to see her. Mark couldn't wait any longer to see her. He got up from the bed, and before he came back to his senses, he was already downstairs. When he looked up, there was a light on in the apartment. It was his and Evelyn's home, and it was filled with memories. "Oh, what am I doing?" Mark whispered as he rubbed his forehead. He could not help but walk away. Oh, what was he thinking? He did not dare to go up. He knew that Evelyn was in the room, and that this was his home. He could go up at any time, but he still stopped here. Mark took a few steps back and sat down under a tree in the grass across from the apartment. He felt his pockets and remembered that he didn't smoke anymore. He laughed at himself, grabbed a blade of grass from the patch at his feet and chewed on it. His gaze fell on his and Evelyn's apartment again. Mark thought back to when he first came here. He was dressing up a lie, little by little. The apartment did not need to be too big, which was good for two people to live together. They could talk to each other from their own rooms, and that would be the best. It felt so intimate. It couldn't be a new place. It had to feel like it had been lived in for years. She liked peace, so she wanted to live in a place like this. She also preferred a place where things were more laid back so that she would not be anxious.
With a lot of effort, he found this place. She was still in the hospital and in a coma at that time. He arranged everything here before bringing her home. He would never forget that morning when she woke up and looked at him with a smile as if she had been reborn. She said, "Good morning, Mark. Today is a beautiful day." After 2 long months of hypnosis and having her memory tampered with, she had changed completely. Did he cry then? He couldn't remember. In reality, he understood just how precious the memories she had lost were. He also understood that neither of them dared look back at the past. He didn't dare to admit that he was wrong. He was afraid that if he did, even this life would disappear. He was trying so hard to be happy with her, but he didn't know what to do anymore. To be a brother for the rest of her life, or to reveal all that cruelty? Oh, why was he so unwilling to accept any of that? Mark stayed where he was for a long time. He didn't know how long it had been until the lights in Evelyn's room turned off. It was already past midnight and completely dark outside. Mark was about to leave when a black van suddenly drove up in front of the building. A few people got out of the car. They were wearing black hoodies and black masks. One of them quickly went under the streetlights to cut the lines. Mark instinctively hid behind the tree and looked at the people with curious eyes. Their movements were swift. One look and anyone could tell they weren't here to do anything good. Mark worried about their purpose here. Did these people want to steal something? Or did they have another purpose? The first thing Mark worried about was Evelyn's safety. After all, these people looked like they wanted to go to Evelyn's apartment. However, at that point, Mark still did not take them seriously. Maybe someone might have offended them, and they came to smash cars or steal things. After all, this neighborhood was very old, and there weren't many important people living here. Mark didn't think it could be about Evelyn. He thought it safe to leave after a few more minutes. However, just as Mark was getting ready to leave, their voices reached Mark's ears. "What's the number of the apartment? Number 302 on the 3rd floor, right?" "Yes, that's it. And she should be alone. She has a younger brother, but he is not staying here, and I saw her come home alone this afternoon." "Then you guys go up. I'll stand guard here. Hurry up and grab her so we can leave." "All right." After the 3 of them finished their discussion, 2 were about to walk down the corridor. Mark's cold voice sounded. "What trouble are you looking for with the owner of 302? Can you tell me about it?" The 3 of them were shocked when they heard his voice. How could there be another person here? All 3 men stopped in their tracks and looked at the handsome young man who came out from a shadow beside them. The leader recognized Mark with a single glance and cursed under his breath. This young man was their target's younger brother. What the hell was this? They were supposed to kidnap the sister, and it had nothing to do with the younger brother. Now, they ran into her younger brother, and he even overheard them talking about what they were going to do. This was not going to be good. Mark stood there with a cold expression. The leader of the men could only think of one way to defeat this guy. He waved his hand and the man said, "Don't kill him, just leave him there." They had only been paid to kidnap the woman, but this young man who suddenly appeared had disrupted their plans, leaving them with only one option. The 2 men pulled out their knives and rushed towards Mark. Mark did not try to reason with them, and he did not even pull out his weapon. Instead, he used their own weapons against them, maneuvering to grab each in turn. Their movements were fast, but they were no match for Mark. In an instant, the 2 men who had rushed forward were on the ground with their hands on their abdomens. "Oh, it hurts," one of them groaned. Mark looked coldly at the man who appeared to be the leader. He rubbed the blood off his hands and looked at him coldly. "Who sent you here? What is your purpose? If you tell me everything, you might be able to save your life." "Who the hell are you?" The leader was scared out of his mind, causing him to stammer and retreat. Mark's eyes shone with steely resolve. "It doesn't matter who I am. What matters is whether you want to live or not. If you want to live, tell me who sent you here. What is your purpose?" The night was getting darker. Mark's eyes seemed to be glowing with a demonic red light. The leader was so scared that he completely collapsed to the ground. He trembled and said, "I'll tell you. Someone asked us to kidnap the woman in the photo. We were given the task of bringing her to a designated location. What will happen after that has nothing to do with us." "Who ordered you to come here?" Mark roared. Episode 167, A Shocking Discovery. The man started quaking in his boots, hearing Mark roar. He stammered, I don't know. They didn't say anything. I only have a phone number to contact them. The man said, shivering, Give me your phone. Now get the hell out of here and clean up this place before you go. I won't let you walk away alive if I see you here again, Mark said coldly. He jumped in to drive the black van away and went straight to the designated location the man's text on the phone provided. He was burning with rage. He wanted to see who was so bold that his people dared to move on his sister. They wanted to kidnap Evelyn? They must have a death wish. When Mark arrived, he called the number the kidnappers had been told to use. As soon as the call connected, a calm voice came from the other side. Just put her in the car, and I will pick her up. The rest of the money will be transferred to your account immediately. The person on the other end did not seem to suspect that he wasn't speaking to the people he had made the deal with, so Mark hung up the phone. Mark lowered his cap and rolled into the back seat of the vehicle. Mark wanted to see who was so unafraid of death that he dared to kidnap Evelyn. Mark waited in the car for half an hour. Sure enough, someone came. Mark's sensitive ears heard the movement of a door to the side. The person walked toward the van. The abandoned factory was completely dark, so they carried a flashlight. Just as the person shone the light inside, Mark kicked him in the chest. The man mistakenly thought that Evelyn was the only one who was unconscious in the car. He never thought that he would be attacked. He was caught off guard and took a heavy kick from Mark. Taking a few steps back, he fell to the ground. It was as if all his internal organs had been twisted from the power of that kick. Oh, it hurt so much. What kind of monster kicked him? His entire upper body was numb. The flashlight fell to the ground and rolled a few times. Mark jumped out of the van with the baseball bat in his hand and walked to the man. Mark poked the man's head with the baseball bat and stepped on his stomach. Who ordered you to do this? Why did you attempt to kidnap Evelyn? If you don't want to die here, then answer honestly. It hurts so much. Let me go. The man fainted before he could finish his sentence. Mark frowned. How could he be so easily beaten? Did he honestly faint after being kicked? Looking down at the man, Mark saw that he was wearing glasses and a nice suit. He looked like an ordinary person. The situation was getting more and more confusing to Mark. Who was the person who wanted to kidnap Evelyn? Why did he want her? After thinking for a while, Mark threw the man in the van and drove back to the house. Once they arrived at the house, Mark barked orders to Ray. Please send someone to protect my sister for the foreseeable future. Protect her 24 hours a day. Who is this guy? Ray asked when he saw Mark dragging a man in a suit into the house. Mark said coldly, We won't know until he wakes up. I will go to the basement and have a good talk with him. Send someone to my sister. Mark took the stranger to the basement and tied him to a shelf. This was a small torture chamber with a lot of things inside. Since it was built, this torture chamber had never been used, but it would be used tonight. Mark ordered someone to bring the ice water over and pour it on that man's head. He immediately shouted coldly, It's so cold. Don't dump any more on me. Are you awake? Tell me what I want to know now. Who are you? Who sent you to kidnap Evelyn? For what purpose? Mark asked coldly from his chair. The bespectacled man groaned inwardly. He had no idea how things had turned out like this. I don't have any bad intentions, and I won't attempt this again in the future. Please, let me go. I swear that I never intended to harm Evelyn. I was forced to do this because I had no other choice. I wasn't going to harm Evelyn, but rather use her to gain favor from Harvey Cage. Please help me convince the man to help me. The man still thought it was Harvey, or his men who had caught him. Mark's face darkened when he heard him calling for Harvey Cage. Are you referring to Harvey Cage, CEO of the Cage Group? Mark asked coldly. The man was confused. He quickly replied, Yes. The man felt something was wrong, and his eyes widened in shock. You are not Harvey's man? He asked. At this moment, Mark's expression could only be described as terrifying. Someone wanted to kidnap Evelyn, and it was related to Harvey. Mark's anger soared to the sky when this clarity occurred to him. Damn it! What the hell was going on?
"Tell me what Harvey has to do with this," Mark said coldly. "Tell me everything. I will cut off your flesh strip by strip if you do not comply." "I am Leonard Mead's assistant. A few days ago, Harvey helped Leonard's daughter, Raquel, break off relations with her entire family. Leonard is now holding a grudge against him, so he asked me to kidnap Evelyn, saying he wanted to teach Harvey a lesson. I'm afraid I have to disagree with that. I also know that Leonard can't beat Harvey, so I plan to give in to him. Why Evelyn?" Mark asked. "Why did you want to kidnap her?" The man was startled and stammered. He was a little afraid of Mark and said carefully, "Because she is Harvey's woman." A heavy punch landed on the chair. Mark gritted his teeth and said, "Say that again. Whose woman is she?" I don't know anything. I just heard what Leonard said." He didn't know anything. Mark's heart was filled with countless emotions, making him want to kill someone. However, he couldn't kill this man in front of him, since he seemed just a helpless sap caught in a bad situation. Mark gritted his teeth, turned around, and walked out of the room. Ray was shocked when he saw his angry look, and he quickly asked, "What happened? Is the young lady in trouble?" Mark stopped walking and clenched his fists. "Send someone to Leonard's house, and tell him that if he dares to mess with Evelyn again, I will kill him." After Mark finished speaking, he walked out of the room. Mark had finally discovered the truth between Evelyn and Harvey. Will he go after Harvey to prove that Evelyn belonged only to him? But Harvey was not someone who could be easily dissuaded or scared off. He was a man who didn't know how to lose. How will the showdown be between two men, one a dreaded assassin, and the other an arrogant billionaire who had never learned to back down for a woman they both desire? Episode 168, The Showdown. Mark stormed out of the house with an ominous look on his face. Ray's eyes widened because this was the first time Mark had asked him to meet someone outside the circle to pass a message. Ray frowned. What exactly had happened? If he remembered correctly, Leonard was the uncle of Harvey of the Cage Group. How could he have anything to do with Evelyn? Ray couldn't figure it out, but Mark had come into the room again before he could make heads or tails of what was happening. He was wearing a leather jacket and a helmet in his hand. Ray frowned even harder. "Where are you going? You can't race before your wound is completely healed." Mark's thin lips were tightly twisted, and his brown eyes were like pools of stagnant water. He said coldly, "There's someone I have to see." When he raised his hand and put on his helmet, Ray saw the gun at his waist. Ray's expression immediately changed. Ray blocked the stares and said, "You never liked guns. Why are you taking one with you tonight?" Ray had a bad feeling about this. Mark didn't even like carrying a gun when he was on a mission. What kind of person could make him carry a gun on his own? "This is my private matter," Mark said. "You don't need to know or get involved." "Boss, don't be impulsive. We can't attack ordinary people." Ray looked at Mark seriously. Ray had a bad feeling. If Mark attacked an ordinary person, even if he were the boss, he would still be punished by this organization. Mark stared at Ray. He suddenly pulled the magazine out of the gun and emptied out all the bullets. "I want to kill people," he said, "and I don't think I would need a gun to do that." Mark brushed past him after he finished speaking. Ray looked at the bullets scattered on the ground and let out a sigh of relief. Although he held a gun, it was not a big deal. Just as he said he wanted to kill people, but still refrained from using a gun, so maybe he would listen to their code. It was just that he was truly infuriated. Ray couldn't help but wonder who it was that had angered him. Mark got onto his motorcycle and called Harvey. It was true that he disdained using a gun, but he needed a way to vent his anger right now. He thought about the few times he had met Harvey and the invitation given by him when he was injured. If Harvey had known that he was Evelyn's brother, he must have been toying with him from the beginning. How much did that damn man know about him? How far had he and Evelyn gone? Mark could not calm down when he thought about this. He was always on guard against this, against that. And in the end, the one who ended up taking all from him was someone he never suspected? It was already very late. Harvey was taking a light nap, but he heard the phone when it rang. He frowned impatiently and got up from the bed. Who was so bold as to wake him up at this time? When Harvey picked up his phone and saw the caller ID, he thought it was an illusion. Mark? Why would he call? After he hit the button to answer, Mark's voice came from the other side. "It's me. Didn't you say you wanted to race? Come out now. I'll wait for you here at the track." Mark's voice was emotionless and calm. Harvey had already fallen asleep, and he could totally refuse. However, Harvey replied unexpectedly, "All right, I will come over." Harvey hung up the phone. He did not know what he was thinking, but he actually agreed. He just had a feeling that today was not as simple as running a lap. Mark probably had something to see him about. What was going on? Harvey had no idea about what was going on, but he had a gut feeling. Harvey changed into his motorcycle outfit and picked up his helmet. Before he left, Harvey's eyes fell on the safe in the bedroom. There was a secret between Evelyn and Mark. Harvey walked up to the safe and hesitated for a moment. He wanted to read the last part of the file, but he didn't. He put on his helmet and walked out. Half an hour later, Harvey arrived at the remote track. It was already midnight, and the night race had come to an end, so there was no one here except Harvey and Mark. "You suddenly asked me to race around an abandoned track? Did something happen?" Harvey asked Mark, who was leaning against his motorcycle. Mark glanced at him and took out his gun. He pointed it at him and said coldly, "What is your relationship with Evelyn?" Harvey looked at the muzzle of the gun aimed at him. He was slightly startled, but stayed calm. He took off his helmet, and his cold eyes looked into Mark's. "So, we have already been discovered." Harvey knew that he and Evelyn would be discovered sooner or later, but he didn't think it would happen so fast. Mark stared at Harvey with his deadly brown eyes. He tried to suppress his anger and continued, "How much do you know about my sister and me?" Harvey was not afraid of his gun. He leaned against the motorcycle and said, "I know that you two are from New Orleans and not siblings. You changed her memory and brought her here to start a new life. You look like an ordinary college student, but you are actually Richard Glenn of the Hamilton Group." "Sure enough, you've done your research. In that case, you won't be able to live in this world anymore," Mark said coldly. Harvey looked at him and narrowed his eyes. He smiled and said, "Really? A gun without bullets can't kill me." Mark pursed his lips and threw away the gun in his hand. "I don't need a gun. It's easy enough to kill you." "What's the reason for killing me? Because I know about you guys?" "I know, but I won't tell Evelyn. I don't need her to know about the past and make her sad. I don't need to tell her your secret. There is no conflict of interest between the Hamilton Group and the Cage Group. One more friend is better than one more enemy. If you still want to kill me based on these 2 points, is it because you have feelings for your sister that you shouldn't have?" Harvey put his hands in his pockets and stared at him. Mark's pupils contracted, and he soon regained his calm. Why would he waver? Even if he had those kinds of feelings, so what? Other than Evelyn, he wasn't afraid of anyone else knowing about it. "So what if I do? You already know that she and I are not biological siblings, and I have never treated her as my older sister. If you know, leave her alone. She is not someone you can toy with at will." Mark gritted his teeth. He hated this man to his core. Whether it was Timothy or Luke, at least they had the right to compete with him for Evelyn. The two of them were bound to her by the past. Who was this guy? Why was he fighting with him for Evelyn? Playing with her? What makes you think that? How do you know I'm playing with her? Harvey asked unhappily. Harvey, do you think I don't know anything? You are not a good person at all. Women are toys to you, and you have no right to get close to Evelyn. You are the one who is not qualified, Harvey said coldly. In Evelyn's eyes, you are her brother. You must play the role of a brother. And the fact she treats you like a brother is the only reason I am keeping my mouth shut. A cold wind blew as Mark glowered at Harvey. His eyes were filled with anger as he said, It's not your place to interfere in the matter between her and me. Mark swung his fist at Harvey, but Harvey was not weak or untrained. He had never needed to bring any bodyguards because he was strong enough to defend himself. Harvey moved himself away from Mark's fist. He kicked Mark's knee and said, It seems like you don't understand what I am trying to say. I have to teach you a good lesson. You are the one who needs to be taught a lesson. How far have you been with her? Mark asked coldly as he pulled out a knife from his sleeve. Episode 169, Defeat.
Harvey frowned when he saw the sharp blade in Mark's hand. Harvey's eyes fell on the gun next to him. He turned sideways, kicked, and hooked the gun in his hand. It did not matter if he did not have any bullets. It was useful as long as he could use it to block Mark's knife. The knife was sharp, and it had an inverted groove. "I am asking you a question! How far have you and her gone?" Mark roared angrily and rushed over again. This time, the knife did not just cut Harvey's clothes, but stabbed deep into his flesh. His blood was boiling. Mark had already confirmed that Harvey and Evelyn were together in some way. When he first arrived, he still hoped that everything was just a misunderstanding. However, now that Harvey had admitted it, he couldn't help but think about many things. Had he touched her? Had this man held her slender hands? That pair of cherry lips, had they been kissed by this man? And if they did, of course I have done what I should. I have touched every inch of her body. I will do it again. You are just her brother, and I am her man. And I am the first and the last one. Harvey swung the gun hard, knocking away Mark's knife, and his elbow hit Mark in the corner of his eye. Mark was caught off guard. He took a few steps back, and his eyes turned bloody red. Whew, he's gonna kill this damn man. At first, he didn't plan to kill him, but now he wanted to kill him because he touched her. That pure white flower-like woman he always held in his hands and protected from everyone. All these years, he had been deeply in love with her. He had thought that she would one day become his woman. She belongs to me! Mark was so angry that he rushed in front of Harvey. With a violent roundhouse kick, Harvey was forced to retreat. He grabbed Mark's leg with one hand, and Harvey swept his other leg. He never thought that Mark would be able to use the strength of the leg that was grabbed, but he got close to Harvey, grabbed his shoulder, and threw him to the ground. Harvey's head hit the ground. When he saw that the knife was about to hit his throat, he quickly reached out his hand and grabbed the knife. Fresh blood suddenly gushed out of his palm. The pain in his hand was causing his brain to short circuit, but Harvey's expression did not change as he stared at the mad Mark. Evelyn is not yours. She is mine. She is my woman. Shut up! I'm going to kill you! Mark pressed his knife down furiously. Harvey held on and smiled coldly. I can't die. If I die, her heart will ache, and she will cry. So I can only apologize, Harvey said. Suddenly, he let go of the knife and grabbed at Mark's waist. That was where Mark had been injured. Harvey's grip was fierce as he pulled at the bandage. The hand holding the knife was forcefully pushed aside, and the tip of the knife just brushed against Harvey's collarbone. Harvey rolled over and pushed Mark down. He grabbed the gun's muzzle and pushed it into Mark's wound a few times. Ah! Ah! An intense pain rippled through Mark's body. The wound had been completely split open, and fresh blood spilled out from the wound. Mark's face turned pale from the pain. Harvey's forehead was covered in sweat. He rolled over and stood up. Harvey kicked Mark's knife away, swung his hand, and the blood on his hand landed beside Mark's face. Mark struggled to get up and said, Bastard, I'll kill you! I'm gonna kill you! If you kill me, Evelyn will never belong to you, Harvey said. You know such a thing can't happen. Evelyn treats you like her brother, a role you have played for a long time. He did not have anything against Mark. Even if he knew now that he liked Evelyn, his reaction was not as bad as it was when it came to Timothy. Maybe it was because Evelyn only thought of him as her brother, or maybe because of what he did for Evelyn. Mark struggled to get up, covering his bleeding wound. He gritted his teeth and said, Shut up! There's no need for outsiders to interfere in the matters between her and me. You don't have to be proud of yourself. You definitely can't beat me. Why would I need to beat you? Harvey smiled. His hand was still dripping with blood, but he looked very calm. His dark black eyes turned to Mark, who was in a sorry state. Harvey seemed to be talking about something very normal. I just need to win her heart. Harvey did not have the heart to attack Mark. Unlike Timothy, he felt sorry for Mark, and he did not have any thoughts to hurt him. He was just her brother. Evelyn had never treated him as her boyfriend. There was no question of beating him to win Evelyn. I need to win her heart. These words were like a heavy hammer that struck Mark's heart. The wound was open and very painful, but it was less painful than the ache in his heart.
If Harvey won Evelyn's heart, then he would lose. He would lose terribly. He didn't want to believe that this man could win Evelyn's heart because it seemed impossible. Why did this guy know about her? Mark had been with her all these years, and he is the only one who knows her inside and out. What she liked, what she hated, what she loved, what she didn't love. Every move she made, every frown and smile. He knew what she was thinking. He knew her so well. He was always with her. How could he lose to this guy? Stop joking. Her heart? Do you know who she truly is? She would never give her heart to someone like you. So, do you dare to ask? Who was the man who asked her to give up on Timothy? Ask her about all this. And when she answers, just let her go and be a brother only. Harvey stood up. His hand was still dripping with blood. He took out a handkerchief to wrap it tightly around his hand. Mark raised his head and looked at the sky filled with stars. He breathed heavily and still smiled stubbornly. I have no reason to believe you, and I have no reason to listen to what you have said. Struggling, Mark got up, covered his wound, and staggered towards his motorcycle. Blood dripped all the way. Harvey looked at him with a frown and said, You can't do this. I'll take you back. It's none of your business. If you get close to me, I will still attack you, Mark said coldly. Harvey raised his eyebrows. I'm afraid that Evelyn will be sad if you die here. After all, you are her brother. Shut up! Don't say that I am her brother! Don't say that! Mark roared angrily. He looked at Harvey with brown eyes that contained anger and great grief. Don't say anything about her brother! He didn't want to be a brother or anything. He didn't want to do it from the beginning. But this was the only way to stay by her side and save her life. He had to. What did this man know? Harvey, don't be so proud of yourself. Evelyn and I are different from what you think. Her life is mine, just like my life is hers. In this life, no one can separate us. Nothing is impossible in my world, Harvey said firmly. Mark got on the motorcycle and left. Harvey did not know anything. No one could separate Evelyn and Mark. No matter what, they would be together. The blood on Mark's wound gradually dried. He was unsure if the wound was still hurting because he could only feel the pain in his heart. Mark's pride had been battered, and his right over Evelyn's love was questioned by Harvey. He was not someone who would sit quietly after such humiliation and accept his defeat. How will he retaliate? What storm is about to hit Harvey's life? And how long before Evelyn starts to feel the heat of this enmity between the two persons she loves? Episode 170, A Warning. Almost when Mark returned to his house, Leonard was in his bed with a knife on his neck. A masked man stared at him and said, Don't go after Evelyn anymore, understand? Leonard was so scared that he did not dare to move. He forced himself to calm down and said, Who are you? The man in front of him was ruthless. He had entered this place without being discovered by anyone. He was naturally someone not to be trifled with. If he hadn't called out to him just now, he might have died without even knowing how he perished. Leonard broke out in a cold sweat when he thought about it. The first person Leonard thought of was Harvey. Could it be that his kidnapping had been exposed? However, the man said, I am from the Hamilton group, and Evelyn is a protected woman. If you dare to touch her, you will be making an enemy of the Hamilton group. You should know what kind of people we are. The old head of the Cage family wouldn't want to lose his life without knowing who he is messing with. Leonard was startled. Hamilton group? How could this be? Was Evelyn not just Harvey's woman? Or could it be that Harvey was a member of the Hamilton group? No, that was ridiculous. Impossible. Was it that when Evelyn was interacting with Harvey, she was also having an affair with someone from the Hamilton group? What kind of background did this woman have? No matter what, Leonard's first thought was to protect himself. He hurriedly said, I didn't expect her to have such an ally, and I also don't want to be your enemy. This matter can end here. Sure, the man said as he rolled off Leonard and toward the window to the left. Leonard turned on the light and jumped to the window, but no one was there. He had a dark expression on his face. He couldn't help but wonder who sent this man here. Was he someone from the Hamilton group? Or was Harvey purposely trying to scare him?
Even after thinking for a while, Leonard couldn't figure it out. He turned around and found a card on the bed. Leonard picked it up and couldn't help but shiver as he read it. The card was stamped with the seal of Richard Glenn of the Hamilton Group. It said, "If you break an oath, you will suffer the punishment of having your blood drained fully from your body." "It is them," Leonard muttered when a voice came from outside the door. "Sir, we have offended someone we shouldn't have. Evelyn, that woman is not to be trifled with." Leonard's heart turned cold. He finally believed that this woman wasn't as simple as she appeared. If he tried to hurt her, he would not only face Harvey's wrath, he might even offend someone he shouldn't. Leonard completely lost his temper. He had no choice but to give up on kidnapping Evelyn. Evelyn had no idea about all of this. The kidnapping that Leonard planned, the confrontation between Harvey and Mark, and the fight had all happened without her knowledge of anything being wrong. She fell asleep quietly, dreaming of the designer competition and winning the championship. She slept peacefully until dawn. At dawn, Evelyn got up and received a call from Luke. Luke said he had asked Mark to visit him. She hung up the phone happily and wanted to make more clothes before seeing Mark. She had just made a new set of clothes and was about to give those to him, but she had to finish breakfast. Before she could sit down, Harvey called. "Come to my office at once." Evelyn frowned as usual. Where did this man get his arrogance from? Did he think she would go to him just because he commanded her to? "I don't have time. I have to design clothes this morning, and I have things to do in the afternoon. The competition starts next week, and I don't have time," Evelyn said, pouting. Harvey raised his eyebrows and said, "Now that the advertisement is out, the models should come and see it. Besides, do you want to work for me for free? Don't you want to get paid for the advertisement?" "Well, if that's the case, I'll come over." After all, she was a model. It was a bit too much not to even look at the advertisement. As for the reward, it was her work. Why not? It was a lot of money. Thinking about this, Evelyn went to the Cage Group. When she saw Harvey in the CEO's office, she was shocked. "What happened to your hand?" Evelyn stared at his bandaged hand with wide eyes. "A knife cut me." Harvey waved his hand and responded casually. Evelyn frowned. "Why are you so careless? Why was his hand injured again? What was wrong with this man? He was always injured." Harvey's eyes twitched, but he didn't say anything. What was he going to say? "My hand was almost crippled because of your younger brother?" Mark had used so much strength that he had almost cut the tendons in his hand, and now it was completely useless. "You came at the right time. You were good at drawing. Can you copy my handwriting? Help me sign a few documents?" Harvey waved at her. Evelyn frowned. "Copy a signature? Me? Is that legal?" "It is nothing bad," Harvey said. "I can't sign it now since my left hand is injured, and I'm tired. Please help me." Evelyn didn't think this was a good idea. He was CEO of the Cage Group, and every contract was worth millions. He had to sign his name, but Harvey's hand was in a quite pitiful state. Evelyn walked over and stood beside him. She bent down and said, "I'll take a look at your handwriting. It's so hard to write. What if I copy your signature and use it to get anything I want?" Harvey raised his eyebrows and looked at her. "You do not need to do that. I'll give you my black card, and you can go out and buy anything you want." Evelyn rolled her eyes. She had forgotten that Harvey was rich and willful. He did not care about this kind of scare tactic at all. Evelyn lowered her head and earnestly practiced copying Harvey's signatures on a piece of paper. A strand of hair fell forward on her face. Seeing this, Harvey raised his hand and tucked it behind her ear. Evelyn did not say anything and did not look at him, but her ears were red. Harvey was touched. He had called her over to see how she was doing. This calm state meant that Mark had not said anything to her. Was he afraid? Harvey didn't know. Harvey couldn't help but wonder. What would Evelyn do if Mark questioned her or confessed that they were not siblings? Will she choose Harvey? Will she be able to make peace with her past? Or will her past shatter her present?